Medieval history is still important in the 21st century because it's about studying societies which are quite simple, but how society became more simple, more complex. So when we study the early Middle Ages, we're looking at quite undeveloped human societies where laws and social structures are being laid down, and we can trace how those structures were developed, how laws were developed and why, what impact they had on society and how societies changed. We can see how communities developed, how transport links were put down perhaps for the first time, how trade developed and communities developed because of trade. These of course are all things that are relevant in the modern age. But you can't understand how these things happen if you don't have a model to base your studies on. We can say we're studying modern communities, but they're often quite complex and highly developed. We don't understand how people relate to each other, and particularly at times of war or when societies break down. If you only know about modern complex societies, you can't understand how people relate to each other when these complex networks don't exist anymore. But when you study medieval history, you can see how humans did react, how they worked together, and it enables you to have a much deeper understanding of human society. One of my students who's gone into the law says that some of their clients in fact come from far overseas, not from Europe, and their society is very much based on the extended family, which was very important in the Middle Ages, but is not so important in modern Western societies. If it wasn't for his medieval studies, he would have no idea how this society works, how this family works. But because he studied medieval history, he thinks, I know what they're doing here, how they're relating to each other, and honour is very important in this family. And if he didn't understand that as a lawyer, he wouldn't be able to advise them. So in fact, these societies do still exist on this planet, although not in the modern Western world perhaps. Although actually I think they do still exist in the modern Western world. When we study medieval history, we can understand much better how human societies work and develop.
Thank you.
One more question.
One more question, sorry. Is this your first time in Chile?
Yes.
And what would be your expectations, or what do you think what would you expect to be the fruits or the outcoming of this symposium?
Of this symposium?
Yes.
Okay. Right. This is my first visit to Chile, and from what I've seen so far, it's a beautiful country, the people are very friendly, and I'm absolutely astonished by the beauty of the Andes. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go hill walking, which, as I'm a hill walker from Britain, the challenge of climbing up the Andes, they're just shouting to me, why didn't you bring your walking boots? Why aren't you coming up this? So obviously I would have to go in the future. But as for this symposium, I hope it's an opportunity to meet colleagues from around South America, North America, and a few from Europe, and hear about their research. Some of it I won't understand very well because it's in Spanish, but I will understand as well as I can. And there are also some talks in English. So that will be valuable. And of course I hope to pass on my own work as well. But when you go to a conference, I think what you should be thinking about most is meeting people, talking to them about their research and finding out what other people are doing. Because after all, I met the organiser of this conference at another conference somewhere else, and now I'm here as a result. So perhaps from this conference more discussions and more networking will develop and better understanding of what we're all working on.